Going to be doing the interpretation. I'm going to be taking notes, like everyone else. So you just feel free to talk at the speed that you want. We're ready to learn from you, Brent. Thank you.
Thank you. I have given more than 5,000 seminars in 84 countries around the world, and very often I will start off because my attendees, the people, are in business or in sales. And if you are in business, you are in sales. And I will ask the question, how many people here would like to double their income? And of course, everyone raises their hand, they all want to double their income. And I say, well, I will show you in the course of today several methods that you can use to double your income. So let us begin the seminar. And they all say, whoa, we want to know how to double our income. I will give you a very simple method that works all the time, 100% for everyone, to double their income. And it's very simply this, is if you are a normal salesperson, you call on 2 new people each day. That's the average pretty much worldwide. Top salespeople call on 4 or 6 or 8, but average salespeople call on 2 or fewer than 2. I have met salespeople who were struggling, and I asked them how many people they called on each week, and it was 2 per week. And of course, that determines their income, and that's the reason for their failure. So let us say that you're calling on average of 2 people per day, and what you do is you make a plan to call on 2 new people. That's 4 people per day from now on. Now, it sounds very simple, but if you, because of the law of averages, because of the law of probabilities, if you double the number of people you talk to, you will double your sales. You don't know where the sale is going to come from, but because of the law of averages, you will double your sales. And I've had many people say, well, this is ridiculous. I've been in my business for 10 years. There's no way I can double my income that easily. And so I always ask this question, why don't you give it a try? Just try. And I've had people come back to me over the years at my further seminars, and they say, I gave your idea a try. In fact, I was going to try to disprove you, to prove that you were wrong. It isn't that easy to do it. So I went out and I kept careful notes. This is very important. If you're in business, you must have a notebook and write down everything. Never trust to memory. All successful people write it down, write it down, write it down. And he kept careful track, and within a month, he was calling on twice as many people as before, and his income doubled. He had been in his field for 10 years, and his income doubled in less than a month. And this will happen to you as well. Another question that I ask people, and this had a big effect on my life, is how many people would like to increase their income 10 times? And everybody says that's not possible. It's to double your income is massive, but to increase your income 10 times, it's impossible. I said, well, there's a very simple system which I developed, and it's based on Albert Einstein's law of compounding. And what Albert Einstein said was the law of compounding is the most powerful law in the universe. He said it is the 8th wonder of the world. And you find people like Warren Buffett, for example. Warren Buffett has a finance fund called Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett has increased the investment in his stock over the years by 1,250,000%. That's astonishing. People who invested their money with Warren Buffett when he was just starting his fund are now billionaires. Billionaires. Why? It's because they gave their money to Warren, and Warren invested it for them. Now Warren was asked, how did you achieve this? He said, the number of investments that I made was hundreds, but only 20 turned out to be good investments. However, what I did is I invested the money and trusted to the power of compound interest. And you'll find throughout the centuries, throughout the years, people who trust to compound interest become wealthy. Some years it'll be higher, some years it'll be lower, but the average in the American stock market, for example, is about 10% per year. At that rate, you will become wealthy if you invest long enough. Peter Lynch, who was one of the great investors in the Magellan Fund in New York, he made a fortune for himself and others. He said, it is not timing the market, it is time in the market that determines how successful you are. So how do you increase your income by 10 times? Well, it's very simple. Imagine that you could increase your income by 25% per year. So that would be an average of 2% per month. That would be an average of 1/5 of 1% per day. Is it possible for you to become more productive and better organized and more skilled by reading and learning and practice? 2% in a month, 0.5% in a week. And of course, the answer is yes, you could become twice as productive probably in 2 days, just by calling on twice as many people. So if you increase your productivity by 25% per month, or I'm sorry, by 2% per month, that's 25% per year. If you increase your income at 25% per year, 2% per month, by reading and upgrading your skills and practicing new things that you learn and attending seminars like this, and most of all, keeping careful notes. And the most important thing, as Einstein said, it's called the law of action. He said, nothing happens until someone moves, or until something moves. So therefore, if you hear something good, you must resist the temptation to put it aside until later. You must practice it immediately. Many people in my seminars will get up, and at the breaks they will go out and phone their prospective customers and practice what they learned 90 minutes ago. And you need to do the same thing. All successful people move quickly when they have a good idea. Unsuccessful people always have an excuse for not moving quickly. And if you don't move immediately when you have a good idea, your energy just dies away, and you will probably never move at all. So if you have 25% per annum, compounded, 25% each year, compounded, you will double your income in 2 years and 7 months. And if you keep improving 1/2 of 1%, 2% per month, 25% per year, if you do this on a regular basis, which comes from simply reading, listening to programs, attending seminars, and applying what you learn, in 10 years with compounding, you will increase your income 10 times. Well, I began teaching this idea. I began to practice it, and I began teaching it. And I practiced it when I was broke. I had very little money, and I was struggling. And my income started to go up like an airplane taking off and leaving the runway. And I began to teach it to other people, and they began to write to me and tell me, this is like a miracle. They could not believe it. One man, his name was Chris, came up to me at a seminar. He said, I came to your seminar a few years ago, and you talked about that 10 times formula. He said, well, it doesn't work. And he had a big smile. He said, it doesn't work. He said, in the 6th year after I began practicing, and getting a little bit better each day, week, and month, he said, I earned 10 times what the most I've ever earned in my life. He said, I live in a big house. I have a beautiful family. My children go to private schools. I have more money than I ever thought possible. Another friend of mine who's very successful said that when he first learned this formula, he was 18 years old. By the time he was 24, he was a millionaire. By the time he was 35, he said, I have more money than I could ever spend in the rest of my life. And it's all because you get a little bit better every day. Now, what is the most important quality for success? This has been studied for many years, and I wrote a book on the subject, which is a best-selling book worldwide in 25 or 30 languages. And it is self-discipline. Self-discipline is the #1 quality that determines your success or failure in life. Self-discipline is defined as the ability to make yourself, force yourself to do what you should do, whether you feel like it or not. For example, I've studied millionaires and billionaires. They all have habits that they follow, and I will give you one or two. The first habit is that they arise before 6 a.m. in the morning. They arise before 6 a.m. and they get up and they immediately exercise. And they exercise to get their blood moving, to get their respiratory rate higher, and so on. And then they read between 60 and 120 minutes per day. They get up in the morning, exercise, get dressed, and then they read in their field 60 minutes or more per day. Well, if you read 60 minutes per day, you will read 1 book per week. 1 book per week will be 50 books per year. The average adult reads maybe 1 book a year, maybe 2 or 3, and mostly they read fiction books. Fiction books are the biggest sellers in the marketplace, but not you. What you do is you read a book that will help you. Read a book written by experts who are successful already. Many years ago, when I was broke, I decided to get into real estate and real estate development. And so I went down to the library. At that time, I could not afford to buy a book. And I began to check out books on real estate development, written by very wealthy men who had started with nothing and become very rich in developing large pieces of real estate in major cities and smaller pieces. So I read these books every night. I would go home and I would spend 3 hours. I still read 3 hours every day. And I would read these books and take notes. I'd read the book and take notes. And then I went out and I looked around to find a piece of property that was described in the books. And I found a piece of property in a small but growing town outside the big city. And I spoke to the owners and I asked them if they were interested in selling their property, and we went back and forth. And eventually they agreed to sell it to me for $500,000. The problem was that I didn't have any money. So I went to their lawyer and I said, would you help me with this transaction? If I can tie up the property so that I have control of it for 1 month, I can find an investor, because I read the books on how to find an investor in your real estate project. And the lawyer, I still remember him, he said, I will help you. He said, I will convince them to give you 1 month, but you have to give me a check for $150. I said, I will give you a check for $150, but please don't take it to the bank because I don't have the money. So he said, all right, I will hold on to it for 1 month. And then I went out and I used everything I read in the books. I contacted every big company that invested in real estate, and I finally found one company that said, if you have a good deal here, and we will have it checked by our lawyers, we will put up 100% of the money, and you can keep 25% of the ownership. And then we closed the deal, and I got the piece of property, and I moved out, and I found an architect and a construction company, and I designed a shopping center. I read the books. The books told me how to do it. I arranged to get tenants for the shopping center, and I opened the shopping center right on schedule, December 15th, I still remember. And it was 100% leased, and it was profitable from the first day. And the owner, the company that invested in me, was so impressed with me, he asked me if I would become his personal assistant and help him with other real estate developments, which I did, and it changed my life forever. By the way, nothing matters in business except performance, except your ability to do the job well. So it's really important. And whenever people ask me what is the key to success in business, I say always volunteer. I say raise your hand. Raise your hand, especially if you're in business and the boss is saying, we need somebody to do this, or we need to work on this project. Always Richard, I'll do it. I will do it. I will do it. And then it's like capturing a ball in a football game. You run as fast as you can and you do the job and you work day and night. And I would take an assignment on Friday and I would work all weekend long on the assignment so that it was completed by Monday morning when my boss came into work. Very soon I got a reputation. And by the way, your reputation is the most important thing you have in business. It's very interesting to ask, what is your reputation and what should your reputation be? Well, my reputation was, if you wanted a job done quickly and well, give it to Brian. Give it to Brian, because the other people in the office, the other executives, they would work on a job, but they would maybe complete it in a week or a month, and they would go out for lunch and go home early to watch television and so on. But me, if they gave me a job, I would start on it immediately and I would work on it night and day, sometimes 15-hour days, to get the job done fast. Soon, when the big boss had an assignment that was really important, he always gave it to me. And then what he did is he gave me a percentage of the profits that I could generate from these tasks and these jobs of development. And I learned later he paid me more than anyone who ever worked for him, but it was all a percentage of the profits. So you should work all the time and imagine that you get a percentage of the value that you create. And that is the true key to life. I just read a really amazing article by a man who I've respected for many decades. His name is George Gilder, and he's a financial writer. And many years ago, he wrote a book called Wealth and Poverty, which became the Bible of the Reagan administration and caused the United States to become the most dynamic economy in the world for almost 20 years. Well, he's written a new book, and what he says is that the most important wealth of all today is knowledge and skill. And the more knowledge and skill you have, the more results you can get. And the more results you get, the more you will be paid, the more valuable you will be. And people will constantly try to hire you away from your employer because talented people like yourself are very rare. And so if you develop a reputation for doing the job quickly and well, your star will rise, you'll be paid more and more and more. And that's exactly what Warren Buffett said. He said the most important skill is the skill of getting results. And that's your job. And wonderfully enough, today there is no limit on how much more you can learn and practice and learn and practice. So dedicate yourself to at least an hour or 2 hours per day, read in your field, take notes, and then as soon as possible, practice your new knowledge. As soon as possible, put your new knowledge to work, because it's only when you put it to work that you internalize it and you own the new knowledge. If the new knowledge just floats in the air or sits in the book, you will forget it very quickly. But if you learn and do, that is the great key to your success. And there are no limits. Nobody can limit you from learning and practicing new stuff. So that's my opening in terms of doubling your income and increasing your income 10 times. Well, what happened to me is practicing this very simple formula. And the formula has 7 parts, and I'll give them to you quickly. Number 1 is to elaborate and read for at least 1 hour per day in your field. Number 2 is to write down your top 10 goals in a spiral notebook every morning so you can print them and program them deeper and deeper into your brain. What happens, by the way, is when you write something down, it's like writing it into your mental computer. And your mental computer then takes and works on your goal 24 hours a day, and then will bring you your goal at exactly the time that is right for you. Some goals will come to you very quickly. Other goals will take weeks or months, even years. But if you write them down, your subconscious mind and what we call your superconscious mind will work on them 24 hours a day while you're awake and while you're asleep. And you will see opportunities that you would never have seen before if you hadn't written down your goal. So what I do is I call this the 10 goal method. Write down 10 goals in a spiral notebook every morning without looking at the previous day. So you take a clean sheet of paper, write today's date, and write down your 10 most important goals in life. And they will change over time, but never copy. This is not a copying exercise. You write down your 10 goals new every day. And as you write them down, the goals will change in order of priority. The goals will change in order of description. And you will feel yourself starting to move forward faster and faster. I used to give a coaching program for entrepreneurs and business people like yourselves. And the minimum income that people had to have was $100,000 per year. And we went up to even $500,000 and $1 million. And I charged $5,000 per year to come and work with me and other people for 1 day every 3 months. So it was 4 days over the course of a year. And I charged them $5,000. And they asked me, you know, that's a lot of money. How can I be sure I'm going to get my value from $5,000? And I said, I will give you what I call my double guarantee, is that if you come and take my program, you will double your income and double your time off with your family within 1 year. And if you don't, I will give you 100% of your money back with no questions. Well, everybody has doubled their income, usually within a month and often within a week, because they use some of these principles. Well, when I think of that, I think that lost my train of thought there. But the most important thing is to just simply practice these. Yes, I said in the first day, in order to be sure that they would double their income, I would give them a spiral notebook, and I would say, this is your new best friend. If you will follow my instructions and each day write down your 10 top goals, it will guarantee that you'll double your income. And it always did. I had more than 1,000 business owners and entrepreneurs come through my program over 7 years. 100% of them doubled their income. Nobody ever asked for their money back. So if this works, it's tested years and years with skeptical entrepreneurs. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're skeptical because you're surrounded by so much different information. So just give it a try. Get a spiral notebook, see if you have the discipline and the control to get yourself a spiral notebook, and write down 10 goals every single day for 1 month and see what happens. I promise you, your life will change in the most remarkable ways. Within 30 days, your life will be completely different in ways that you cannot now explain. Just give it a try. And then, if you are happy with the results, do it every day. Every day, write down your 10 goals. I still do that. Every day, write down the 10 goals. And I went from earning $20,000, $30,000 a year to earning $1 million a year in less than 10 years. And life has been very good. And it was all because of writing down your goals. So that's number 2. Number 1, get up early. Number 2, read. Number 3, write down your 10 goals. Number 4, plan your day in advance. Make a list of everything that you have to do, and then organize the list by priority. Which is the number 1 most important, which is number 2, which is number 3, and then start work on number 1. And start work immediately. Do not talk to your friends, do not make phone calls, do not check your email, do not do anything except your most important task. This is one of the greatest of all time management techniques, is to make a list every day. The best time is the night before. So you finish your day, write a list for the next day, and then organize the list by priority, and then start with number 1. Always ask the question, If I could only do one thing on my list before I was called out of town for a month, what one thing would I be sure to do? And whatever it is, start with that and discipline yourself to work only on that task until it's complete. Now, the first time you do this, it will be very, very difficult because you are used to working and playing, and working and playing, and working and doing something else. Discipline yourself, train yourself to work single-mindedly, 100% concentration on your most important task until it's complete. And then you can take a break. Then you can talk to other people, check your emails. But it's very important that you develop that habit of discipline so that you can make a promise to yourself to do something, and then you can keep your promises to yourself. If you can do that, you can conquer the world. You will double your income faster than you can imagine. It's so powerful. Well, the next step in the formula is to set priorities, work on your most important priorities. The next step is for you to practice 2 questions. And the 2 questions are, after every single situation, what did I do right, and what would I do differently? What did I do right, and what would I do differently? These are wonderful ways to analyze your performance. You visit a customer, you go to your bank, you speak to a supplier. Afterwards, analyze your performance. How did you do? In the military, they call this an after-action report. So after every action, even in testing and trying and learning, they stop and they say, what did we learn that we should do differently next time? And you have to keep asking, because if you don't stop, say time out, you don't stop and analyze your performance, you cannot improve. You'll just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. And the last key point is once you start doing something, the last key point is treat everyone you meet like $1 million customer. Treat everyone you meet as if they could buy $1 million worth of your product. You never know who will become your next customer, but most of your very best customers will come from referral. It's someone that you spoke to about your product or service who cannot buy it at this time, but they know someone else who might be the perfect customer for you. So always treat people like $1 million customer. And I always ask them, where do you start this process of treating people with tremendous respect? And the answer is you start at home in the morning with your family. They find that people who start off their working day with a happy relationship with their family are positive all day long. So something to think about. Well, I was thinking about what Spencer said about our time together and becoming successful financially. And I put together a list of the primary goals that everyone has. And one of the most important questions that you can ask is called the 3 really questions. And the question number 1 is, what do you really want to do with your life? What do you really want to do with your life? And this is a great question that most people have never asked. Most people are so busy functioning and getting through the day, they never stop, take time out to think, what do I really want to do with my life? And one of the ways we do it, we use what's called a magic wand theory. And I used to do this all the time. I would take a pen and I would say to my audience, 1,000 people, I'd say, imagine that this pen is a magic wand. And then one day, a man came into my office for my coaching program, and he brought me a magic wand. A toy store. And so I use this. I say, imagine that this is a magic wand, and you can wave it and achieve any one goal in life. What one goal would you want to achieve? It's a magic trick. And so use this, what we call the magic wand technique, is always imagine you had a magic wand and you could achieve any one goal. What one goal would it be in any area of your life? And once you've asked that question, which forces you to think at a deeper level, you ask the second question, what do you really, really want? Because your first question will be superficial, make a lot of money, be happy, things like that. Second question is a deeper question, because once you've accomplished the superficial goals, what do you really want? If you had all the money in the world, what would you really want, and so on. And the third question is, what do you really, really, really want? What do you really, really, really want? And this question is quite amazing. It forces you to think at a deep level, and it's something that you cannot answer usually the first time you ask it. You have to keep turning it over in your mind. Keep thinking, what do I really, really, really want? And I am 79 now, and I began asking these questions when I was 39, and the answers change. And one of the things, as you get a little bit older, one of your goals is to live forever, or at least to 100. And then you say, all right, if I was going to live to be 100, what would I have to do differently starting today to get to that goal? If you want to become a millionaire, what are you going to have to do differently starting today to become a millionaire? And the answer is, we'll talk about it, you're going to have very clear career goals and very clear financial goals. And then you have to have a plan to work on getting a little bit better every day. And over time, you'll be quite astonished. The cumulative effect, it's like an avalanche in the mountains. The cumulative effect of getting a little bit better each day is quite amazing. Sometimes you will double your income in a year. I've seen countless people double their income in a month just by practicing and getting a little bit better each day. So moving on, what I concluded was that there are about 6 or 7 things that everybody really, really wants. And Aristotle, in 350 BC, wrote some absolutely beautiful material. They say that all philosophy from Aristotle for 2,000 years was merely people repeating Aristotle. And Aristotle's first great breakthrough was, what is the purpose of human life? And his conclusion was that behind every goal, there's another goal until you reach what he called the first goal. And the first goal is to be happy, is what people want more than anything else. And everything that they do, every product or service that people buy from you is because they feel that they and their company will be happier and better off using your product than that of anyone else. What is the essence of successful selling? Well, I wrote a program called The Psychology of Selling, and I'm not sure if it's in Spanish, and if it's not, it should be, because it is the best selling program in the world on selling. It's in like 32 languages throughout Europe and Asia and China and Japan and so on. And I was talking to one of my clients this week, and I said, more people have become millionaires, according to research, after listening to more salespeople, after listening to Psychology of Selling, than any other single influence in the world of selling. And he, who pays me a lot of money each year to be his coach, he said, well, that would describe me. He said, when I got your program many years ago, it made me a millionaire, which was interesting. We had a nice conversation. He said the material on how to sell well is so excellent. So I recommend this to you, is to get my program or book, especially the audio program if it's available in Hispanic. And if it's not, Spencer and I will have a talk about that later. And if it's available.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Looking forward to it.
So it's very important that if you are in business, you are in the marketing business. Whatever the name of your business or product or service, you are in the marketing business. The essence of marketing is selling. And one of the major reasons why small companies fail in the first 2 to 4 years is because they don't have a sales expert on staff. Every successful company has at least one person who is really excellent at selling. So if you're thinking of starting a business, it's very important that you get a very good salesperson to work with you. Sometimes you're going to have to give that person a percentage of your business. because they're already working for someone else and making a lot of money. And for you to hire them away can be the turning point in success or failure. If you're not a good salesperson, you must find someone who is. But in the meantime, you are responsible more than anything else for becoming excellent at selling. Because they say that nothing happens until a sale takes place. Nothing happens. Your business can have the best products or services in the world, but if you can't sell them against determined competition, then they might as well not exist at all. So they found that there's about 5 or 6 or 7 things that we all strive for to be happy. Number 1 is peace of mind. Peace of mind is the greatest human good. It's the aim of all philosophies and all religions and all metaphysics and all psychology, is to help people reach peace of mind, where they're completely happy inside. And this is what is called a deficiency need. Because a deficiency need is you only notice it when you don't have it. It's sort of like being hungry. You don't notice being hungry until you're hungry, until your stomach is empty. So if peace of mind is your number 1 goal, and everything that you do causes you to work toward peace of mind, that is the key to happiness. So what you ask is, do I have complete peace of mind now? Do I feel really happy with myself and my life and my relationships? And if not, why not? And then you ask yourself, what would I have to do to be in complete peace? And you ask yourself that, and that becomes your goal. Everything else you accomplish is an attempt to achieve your peace of mind, or at least to remove the factors in your life that cause you stress and unhappiness. The second major goal in life is health and energy. And again, this is a deficiency need in that you don't think about it if you have it. But if you suddenly start to have health problems, you think of only your health problems. You think of nothing else. So one of your jobs is to say, if my health was absolutely perfect in every way, how would it be different from today? How much would you weigh? How much would you exercise on a daily or weekly basis? How fit would you be? It's a very, very important question, because if you don't take good care of your body, unfortunately, you'll have to pay the price. And the price you end up paying will be much, much more than if you just simply exercised every day. The basic rule is that you need to move your whole body about 1 hour per day. That doesn't mean that you have to train for the Olympics. Maybe just go for a walk after work. Maybe just go for a swim a couple of times a week. Maybe just use an exercise bicycle. But just move your body 60 minutes a day and you'll be one of the most healthiest people in our society. The third factor is loving relationships. We all need loving relationships, and we don't even think about loving relationships if we have one. But if we don't have it and we're not in a good relationship, think only about the relationship. We are designed emotionally so that we are only complete when we're with the right person. I met the right person 45 years ago, and we have been together and married ever since, and we've never had an argument. And so it's been an absolutely wonderful experience, and I have friends who had the same experience. They have been married for decades, and they never have a problem because fortunately, they married the right person. So again, this is a deficiency need. If you have a great relationship, you hardly think about it, except that you appreciate it very much. If you don't have a great relationship, you think about it all the time. And this brings us to a quick aside. In my coaching program, I used to teach people that there are only 4 ways to change your life. 4 ways. And I would help them apply this to every part of their business and personal life. The first way to change your life is to do more of certain things. So we ask the question, what should I be doing more of? In my seminars, I teach what is called the law of 3. The law of 3 says that if you make a list of everything that you do in the course of a week or a month, you'll find that your daily work activities are 20 or 30 items. 20 or 30, some people write 40 or 50, some people write 10. But they're about, average is about 20 to 30. And I know, because I've worked with more than 1,000 people like you in intense situations over a 7-year period and tracked their answers to my questions. So you say, what should I be doing more of? And what we have found is that if you make a list of everything that you do in the course of a week or a month, you'll find that there's only 3 things on that list that account for 90% of the value that you bring to your work. 90%. I call this the law of 3. And I've learned it over the years. When I was a young speaker, I was hired by IBM to speak to a leadership group, a management group, and they liked me so much they booked me 30 times over the next 3 years to come back and speak to new management groups. And they always gave an evaluation at the end of each talk. They got into a lot of financial trouble in the late 80s. They fired the president and all the executives. They brought in a new president who was a marketing man and turned the company around. And one of the things they did is they installed the law of 3. Every manager was helped to define their 3 most important tasks. And every manager worked with every staff member to help them define their 3 most important tasks. And then the job of the managers at every level was to make sure that the person below them was focusing on their big 3, the big 3. And the company turned around completely, turned around by billions of dollars, and again became a world leader. They had 82% of the world market for computers, and part of it was the law of 3. So you ask this question, with you look at your list, if I could only do one thing all day long before I was called out of town for a month, which one thing would contribute the most value to my company and myself? And usually that will pop up at you. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the things that you avoid doing, you procrastinate on, you plan to do it tomorrow, and so on. But there's one thing. Then you ask the question again, if I could only do 2 things before I was called out of town for a month, what would be the second most important thing that I could do for myself and my company? Now this is a more difficult question, so you have to review your list of the things that you do, and number 2 will come clear to you. And then you ask the same question for number 3. If I could only do 3 things, which would be number 3? Then you write those on a different sheet of paper, and you will notice that these 3, and this has been true for 150 years, that people have used this exercise. These 3 account for 90% of all the value that you contribute to your work and to your company. If you want to become rich, becoming rich is very simple. You get very good at the big 3. Warren Buffett, who I told you increased the value of his Berkshire Hathaway fund by 1,250,000%, was once asked, what is your secret of success? And he said, my secret of success is simple. He said, I just say no to anything that is not the big 3, that is not the 3 most important tasks that I can do, and that only I can do. And if I don't do them, no one else will do them. And if I do them well, they will make a big difference. So this is a great question for you. And a great exercise. From now on, once you have identified your 3 most important tasks, you work on only those tasks until they're complete. If you are running your own business, your most important task is to make sales, is to develop new business. And so you must focus 80 to 90% of your time on developing new customers, finding new customers, contacting new customers, persuading new customers to buy your product or service instead of buying from your competition. All the world of marketing and advertising is an attempt to get people to buy from one company rather than buying from another company. And my program, Psychology of Selling, and other books on marketing will give you wonderful ideas how you can position, it's called positioning, position your product or service so your customers feel that your product or service is superior to anything else that's available. Only then will they buy. Until they are convinced, until you persuade them that your product or service is superior, they cannot buy from you. They have to say something like, let me think it over. Let me think it over. Let me think it over usually means goodbye. We will never meet again. It's because, and they're saying, when I say, let me think it over, they're saying, you gave me no real reason to buy from you. And so your job as a professional business owner is to be very clear and have everybody in your company crystal clear about the one and only big one, the one most important reason why people should buy from you. And then make sure that every single piece of correspondence, every letter, every communication repeats this one reason why people should buy from you. So the 4 ways to change your life are: number 1, you can do more of some things. What do you do more of? The big 3. If you just simply do that, and just cut off at this moment and go home, that will make you rich. If you don't do that, you'll always be poor. You'll always worry about money all the time. Number 2 way to change your life is to do less of other things. Do less of things of low value. And do less and less. And the way you do less is you just simply say, I will do this thing that's of low value, but not yet. The words are not yet. First, I will do my big 3. Then, if I have time left over, then I will do the little things. Here's what most people do. 50% of working time is wasted, according to the research. 50%. So you spend 8 hours, 4 hours are spent on doing those things that are not very important. And you keep doing the little things, and you're saying, well, once I do all the little things, then I will do the big 3. No, that's the wrong order. What you have to do is you always start with the big 3. It's like at IBM, the manager would just simply go around and say, what are your big 3, and what are you working on now? And everybody knew that they were going to be asked this question, and so everybody worked and focused on the big 3. And the company went from billions in losses to billions in profits almost overnight. The 3rd way to change your life is you can start something completely new and different. This is the great breakthrough area. By developing a new skill or doing something different or introducing a new product or service. Today, according to the experts, everything that is being used today will be obsolete within 5 years, sometimes faster. Some people say that if it works, it's already obsolete and being replaced either by the company that introduced it or by the competitor. So therefore, you can never become complacent. So we say you can never coast on your success. They say the only way, the only direction where you can coast is downhill. And so therefore, you must constantly be upgrading the quality and desirability of your product, or lowering the price and the availability of your product, and never stop improving and getting better. Because if you slow down, it's like being in a race, a big road race. If you slow down, the competitors don't slow down. They speed up and they pass you. And once they've passed you, it's almost impossible for you to catch up. So that's number 3, is do something completely new. And if you would wave a magic wand and be absolutely excellent at something new and different, what would it be? What would it be? Discuss it with your friends. Discuss it with your associates at work. Discuss it with your spouse. What one thing could you do that would make you different and better and superior to your competitors? Because that is the key to making sales. The 4th thing that you can do, and this is one of the most important things you'll ever learn, is you can stop doing certain things altogether. You can make a decision to draw a line under your past life and stop doing certain things altogether. So what are the things that you should stop doing? And this is the concept I wanted to share with you. It's called zero-based thinking. And zero-based thinking is where you draw a line under all your past activities, and you create a zero base, as though you were starting from zero. And you ask this question, and this is the great question: is there anything that you are doing in any part of your life that, knowing what you now know, you would not start doing again today? Let me repeat that. Is there anything that you're doing in your life that, knowing what you now know, you would not start up again today? And if the answer is this or that, then the next question is, how do you get out of this, and how fast? And the best answer is now. Once you decide that you would not get into it again, is get out immediately. One of the biggest problems we have in the world of work, especially if you are a business owner and an employer, is you hire the wrong people. And most young entrepreneurs, when they hire the wrong people, they're constantly trying to work around the incompetence of that person or the personality of that person. But the question is, would you hire this person back again? And if the answer is no, then get rid of them immediately. Not later on in the day. Get up, because you're responsible, you're the leader. You get up and tell them that this job is not the right job for you, and you're not the right person for this job. I say that because I've used it for many, many years to fire people. And I'll just repeat it. This is not the right job for you, and you're not the right person for this job, and I think that you should do something else. You don't attack them, you don't get angry, you don't remind them of mistakes they made in the past. That's over. That's zero-based. You just say, this is not the right job for you, and you're not the right job person for this job. And end their time with you immediately. When you can do that, there's a rule that says the best time to fire a person is the first time you think about it. And that's applicable to many situations. The best time to end a situation is the first time you think about ending the situation. Because your intuition will tell you, it will guide you and tell you exactly the right thing to do and when to do it. So, and so keep zero basing your whole life. Now, how can you tell if you have the wrong situation, a zero-based situation? It's called stress. Whenever you experience stress, what they call chronic stress, means you have it all the time, keeps you awake at night, you talk about it with your spouse, you think about it, and so on. Whenever you have this kind of stress, it means you are in a zero-based thinking situation. It may be a big thing, like you've chosen the wrong career. You've gone to work for the wrong company. You're in the wrong position. You invested your money in the wrong place. You're selling the wrong product or service. It may be a big thing that requires that you make big changes. But you're going to have to make these changes anyway. You will not escape. The only question is, how much are you going to pay? What price are you going to pay in terms of stress and unhappiness to get out of the situation? So I would teach my clients those four things: mora, lessa, start or stop. Mora, lessa, start or stop. And that will solve or resolve almost every single problem in your personal and business life. Now, the fourth, I talked about the three ingredients of happiness are, first of all, peace of mind; second of all, health and energy; third of all, loving relationships. The fourth is financial independence. The most wonderful thing about money is that if you have enough of it, you don't think about it. The worst thing about money is that if you don't have enough, you think about money all the time. And as you know, worried about money is a terrible way to live. And so one of your responsibilities in life is to say, how much money would I need to earn? How much money would I need to have so that I don't worry about money at all? Your job in life, and I set this as a goal many years ago, is your goal is to reach the point where you never worry about money again. You have enough money so that you never worry about money again. So ask yourself, how much would you need to earn each month to be completely satisfied? How much would you have to have saved up, invested in the bank to be completely satisfied. And write it down as a goal and make a plan and work on it every single day. Now I could talk to you about goal setting. I have complete full-day programs on it. But the most important thing of all is that your goals must be in writing and they must be in the present tense. So you will always write down, I earn this amount of money per month or per year. Not, I will earn, because your subconscious mind cannot deal with a future statement. Your subconscious mind only deals with the present tense. So whenever you say, I weigh this amount of money, that's this number of pounds, that is your goal, but say it to your subconscious mind as if you already had it. Then your subconscious mind will go through what psychologists call a cognitive dissonance, which is a clash of your current weight or your current financial situation and your goal. So when you say, I weigh this amount, number of kilos, or I earn this amount of money, then this cognitive dissonance, this clash, will cause your subconscious mind to work 24 hours a day to bring your new goal into existence. It's the most amazing thing. Let me end this, I see it's almost an hour, but let me end this by saying that you have tremendous powers. And the biggest responsibility you have is to accept those powers and develop those powers. I just finished writing a book called The 32 Unbreakable Laws of Money and Success. And in that, 32 different laws that you can do. The book will be out next year, and it's based on my entire lifetime of study. And some of the laws are very, very simple. You will only be rewarded for your results. And so the most successful people think 24 hours a day about how can I increase the quality and quantity of my results. One of the greatest laws of all is called the law of mind, and it says you become what you think about most of the time. So what do you think about most of the time? Well, when you did what I did is you read in your field, you start to think about your field and how you can do it better most of the time. And as you program your mind, feed your mind with these ideas, you start to make better decisions and get better results on the outside. Now, you've heard about the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule, and I remember many years ago when a top salesman told me, you know that 20% of salespeople earn 80% of the money in our field. And I said, no, I've never heard that. He said, oh yeah, it's a very common rule. And the rule actually goes back to 1895. It's an economic principle. And so I said, well then, and I still remember, I said, well then, I'm going to be in the top 20%. And it changed my life forever. From then on, the only thing I thought about is what do I have to do to be in the top 20%? And what I learned was that everyone in the top 20% started in the bottom 20%. And then they made a decision, I am going to be in the top 20%. And the only question they asked from then on was the question, how? And so if you will follow the principles we talked about today, if you will think about what you want all the time, and if you will dedicate yourself to getting into the top 20%, and there is no one who can stop you. There's no one who can stop you. And then I say, except there is one person. And who is that one person? And I asked an audience of 1,000 people, they all point to themselves. It's me. I'm the only one who can hold me back from getting into the top 20%. People in the top 20% earn 10 times as much as people in the bottom 80%. All the riches and all the rewards and all the good things in life go to the top 20%. And the only thing that keeps you out of the top 20% is a decision. So as a result of today, I want you to make a decision that you are going to join the top 20%. And then never stop, like climbing a mountain, never stop until you achieve it. And you'll be astonished. Sometimes you'll achieve it far faster than you ever believed possible. And you'll say to yourself, why didn't I make this decision a long time ago? Thank you very much.
Ryan, thank you so much.